Welcome, travelling friends of Australia. We are Willem and Annika, and we hope you enjoy this episode of our podcast,
where we have a chat to other travellers and give them the opportunity to tell their stories and share the tips that they've learned along the way.
All right, welcome, guys. We're going to be chatting to Paul and Liah from the Lost Wanderers, and so get excited.
We think they have a lot to give the travellers just by going through their platform, their YouTube channel, and speaking to them a little bit, asking them a few questions about what their travelling status is and how much they've travelled and the tips that they can give people. So we are very excited to talk to them. Let's have a chat. Hey guys.
Paul and Liah. Hey, welcome.
How are you guys today?
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah. Are you travelling at the moment or are you at home?
We're at home at the moment. So we just do usually in between work, like weekends, long weekends, when we take a holiday, go for a week or something here and there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Still pretty much the same as what we're doing. Getting when we get the time and when it's not raining, we get out and have some fun, have some adventures.
I work on a 3-week roster, so I go every third week we have an RDO, and that's when we go travel, so pretty much the same.
Yeah. So do you guys want to tell us a little bit about who is Paul and Liah? Just what you guys do and
a bit about your story.
Yeah.
You go. No, where to start? Well, I guess we met a few years ago down in a rural town in Victoria, on the border of Victoria and New South Wales, in Wodonga. And so Liah hadn't done much camping and stuff before she met me. I was into it. I got into it like probably 8 to 10 years ago, I'd say, with some mates, just in like doing campground stuff, and then got a 4-wheel drive and started to go more remote, I guess, like I lived in Brisbane, so we'd go over to like Straddie and Fraser Islands and get a bit further away from the crowds where you can just sort of not too many people around. Sort of progress from there, from just having the old Kmart tent to the setup that we've got now.
Yeah. And what do you guys do what's your professions?
Yes.
I'm a mechanic in the Army these days, so that was why I was down in Victoria. I was at the trade school there, and now posted up in Darwin.
And then I was a travel agent, but obviously with everything happening at the moment, not anymore. So I'm just doing like receptionist work and things like that.
So you guys have kind of told us a little bit about your traveling status. So you travel every now and then when you get the chance, or mostly on weekends. Why, I guess, obviously you're traveling because you love it, but is there anything else that, like, a reason why you guys travel, or is it something that you want to do more of, or
Yeah, like I like to just get away from the city and sort of be away from the crowds and everything, I think.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's the main reason I like to do it, and just find spots to go that not everyone's been before. Like those, get out to have a swim in the waterfalls or out into the country and just see spots that staying at home or staying around the city you're not going to see.
Yeah. And
I think
and getting out on the 4-wheel drive tracks. And
there's a lot of footage on your Instagram of that, so it looks really cool. Do you like that as well, Liah, or do you get a bit scared?
It's really scary. I sometimes get out of the car and I film. I'm just film that one because
I'll just get out and take some good photos of your car.
Well, every good 4-wheel driver needs a good spotter, so that's a job that's needed.
So, and when you guys actually go out and you go, obviously staying overnight, what kind of setup do you guys have?
At the moment, I've got rooftop tent, and we've got this. It's like a
pop-up.
It's like a pop-up annex, like pop-up gazebo, but it's got like mozzie net sidewalls.
Oh yeah, I've seen that on your Instagram. Yeah, that looks really cool.
like a little barbecue and table, and yeah, we try and keep it. Over the years, I've worked out to try keep the minimal amount of stuff, keep the weight down, and
Yeah.
yeah.
Because you don't have a trailer or anything. You're putting everything in the car, yeah.
Yeah.
My husband Willem is he's in love with your car, and that's obviously what we're working towards. We actually love the 76 series especially.
But you didn't start there, so
No.
tell us a bit about your Great Wall and then your patrol, and how did you end up with the 76?
Yeah. So when I first was looking at four-wheel drives, like I just wanted something new, but something I could afford, which the Great Wall, I picked that up. It was a 2012 model. I got it in probably 2015. When did was it? I probably picked it up in 2015 or something. It was still in factory warranty.
Okay.
When I got it, and it had nothing but problems. But I did what I could with it, and we went out, and first time on Fraser Island, like four-wheel drive myself, was in that, and I took it over to Stratty a few times.
Okay.
To the point where I went through a mud hole without a snorkel and sucked water through the air intake.
Oops.
And
That's
drowned.
a good story.
So it didn't stop me using it and everything like that, and getting out there with mates and having a go.
Yeah.
I did have a lot of issues, but it was a good starter. It was, was able to afford at the time. Luckily, insurance paid it out, and then that's where I was like, I need something a bit more reliable, and went with the GQ Patrol, and that was a '97 model. And yeah, I had heaps of fun with that. Really learned, like, put a 2-inch lift in that, and went out with and then met some new mates through work who were like into more off-road, four-wheel driving and stuff, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And learn quite a bit more about how to four-wheel drive, which lines to take off-road. Yeah. And from there, I had different camping setups with that. Like I ran sometimes tents, and then had a swag as well for different trips. I had drawers in the back of that to try and sort out all the camping gear and different things, and food in one side, recovery gear and tools, and and then that was just starting to get a bit old, I guess, and it was coming up to the engine either needing a rebuild or a bit more major work. So I decided to trade that in, and now I've got the Land Cruiser. Yeah, and
Nice.
slowly setting that up to where I want it. Like I've got drawers in there. We've got a rooftop tent. It's the second rooftop tent I've got on there. The first one I had was a King's one.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with the tent at all. But it would have, for me, it was the style of the tent that I didn't like. So if I'd gone with any brand of that, it's the one, the ones that just cover half the roof rack and real top heavy, and put quite a bit more height on the vehicle, and that's what I didn't like. So I was looking around and found this one's June 4x4. It's Anaconda selling, but it takes up the whole length of the roof rack. It's only, I don't know, it's not very high off the roof rack, so it keeps the center of gravity quite a bit lower, which gives the vehicle. Yeah, which is what I need when I'm off road, I guess. I don't want high center of gravity to tip the car beyond where it should be. And I put it in situations where that can happen.
So you've had a sort of a slow progression. I mean, that's good, because when you have something expensive from the start, you tend to not take risks, and try things out and go a bit more off-road and bush bashing. So you've done a really nice where you've had something cheap and you took a bit of risks, to get that experience up, and now you sit in a good rig. I want that rig. That's a good rig. Yeah. Well, we're looking at a 76 series as well soon. We're currently just running a Volkswagen multivan.
Which is a family car,
which is a
mummy's
family
car.
mummy's van.
He's got the work ute, so we haven't needed really another car.
And another question is that so what sort of things would you say is a must-have when you go camping? Like you've done a few bit of camping now. What are the few things that you can't go without that you have to take along?
I would say our fridge freezer that we've got.
Yeah,
that's the best thing that we bought.
100%. And we only got that a few years. When was it?
Not even.
Maybe a year and a half ago or something. And up until then, I'd always had esky and ice. And when we went out like for like a long weekend or something, and we were out
shaking our head.
There's nowhere to buy ice. And yeah, it was. And I watched mates.
Where you guys live, it's hot as well.
Yeah, it is now.
It's hot, so it's not like it's a cool night. The ice will probably stay a little bit longer. Because we've got the kids and stuff. We take a lot of food with us. They eat all day, so that's one thing that we actually bought. There's a few other things that we would have wanted, but we bought a fridge freezer to go in the back of our multivan.
It was a must for us because of the kids and the stuff, and so. That's one thing we also had to spend a lot of money on and make sure we had. So.
Yeah, and we knew if we were to go away for like a week, like we're doing in 2 weeks' time, we'd have to, have something that can take a little bit more stuff, and also freezer, so you can freeze some of the food for longer, and things like that. So what type of one do you guys have?
We have a Waco 75-litre dual zone.
Cool.
Wow.
And we find that big enough for the two of us.
Yeah.
Well worth the money spent.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I can't believe it took so long for me to get one.
Now you're in luxury.
Yeah, good stuff.
I guess one of the things, because you are a mechanic, we obviously want to give people lots of tips and knowledge, especially from people who know the proper way. There's a lot of guys obviously that know how to do their cars and stuff, but because you are a mechanic, is there maybe something that you could tell guys out there that
just sort of tips and tricks before you leave? What do you sort of need to have a look at
with you, or
before you go on a trip like that, and then while you're traveling, keep looking at sort of maintenance upkeep?
So like for me, I always do a good check over the vehicle. Like I obviously know what I'm looking for underneath. So if you're going on a long trip, I'd recommend going to a mechanic. One, getting a service, that way everything's fresh, ready to go. You're not going to have any problems there. And then they can do a good, tell them you're going on a long trip or going on a trip, and they can do a full suspension check, full underbody check, which should be done with a normal service anyway. But just make sure they put in that extra. Have a look to make sure nothing's going to go wrong and that your brakes are going to last. If they're getting low, change them. And then I always take out a basic toolkit as well, like socket set, spanner set. I've picked up one it's in a hard box. It's socket and spanners all in the one thing. I just take that out, and then a couple of extra little things like a breaker bar and some pliers, and probably out and about every morning or every couple of days, especially if you're on corrugated roads. Recommend just getting under your vehicle and having a look at some of the suspension stuff, nuts and bolts, make sure nothing's come loose. Driving up to, when we moved from Victoria up to Darwin, we drove, and we did that over 11 days, and we went out, we did Uluru, we went out, we went the back way from Uluru to Alice Springs. It's via Kings Canyon Road, which was 250 k's of corrugated dirt roads. And I didn't get under the vehicle and have a look, and we lost the nut off the panhard rod thing. All of a sudden we're driving along and the steering just went wild. And I got on, like, oh no, what's that? I got underneath, and the bolt was still there, so we're able to make sure it didn't fall out. But the nut was gone, so I couldn't have it tight. So we limped. It was probably only
there wasn't much left to go.
50 k's of corrugation road left, and another 30 of blacktop back to Alice to the bolt shop, so I could get a new nut and tighten it up again. So yeah, that's one thing. Make sure, just have a look under the vehicle and make sure nothing's come loose, because corrugations do definitely loosen nuts and bolts. And
so any specific spares you'd recommend taking along when you're going on a long trip?
I don't know, it's hard. Like, I haven't really taken a lot of spares as such, because it depends on every vehicle and stuff too. Like, if you watch some of the like 4-wheel drive shows that have the DVDs, or now they've moved to YouTube stuff, they'll all take different spares depending on their vehicles and what breaks more often. Like, yeah, but I've never really had too much break out.
Lucky.
So yeah, so I don't take a lot. It's more, I'll take like a good toolkit so I can repair things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, and that's what I'll make sure I do a good check over the vehicle to make sure nothing's near on its way out. Like, I'll check all the belts and everything, make sure all the belts aren't going to snap. And if they're looking like they're getting a bit rough, then replace them before. I try and do preventative maintenance rather than take.
That's a good strategy.
Yeah. Probably is.
Well, so you mentioned your travel to Uluru, you know, and what would you recommend your favorite destination is that you've visited so far?
Oh, for me, I really like the beach. I really love being at the beach. So, and where I first sort of trips I did camping with mates and stuff was over on Straddie. So that's always one that I like to get back to when I'm home, or over to Fraser. Fraser Island is really nice too. There's all the different lakes that they've got there, and the variety of animals that you can see too. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, Fraser was good, but I don't like sand, so that's the only thing. Sand everywhere. Maybe like the Great Ocean Road. I really enjoyed doing that.
Yeah.
I did it twice. But yeah, just and then like stopping off in the little towns and seeing like the beaches, and then like you can go to the national parks and see the koalas and things like that. So it's really cool. So I really like it.
Have you guys been to WA?
We've been just for the weekend, haven't we?
Yeah, you had training there, so I flew down for the weekend and we went over to Rottnest Island.
Okay.
And that was really cool. We really liked it.
Yeah, it's lots of beach. But yeah, it is beautiful. Like, we've been a few times to Rottnest Island, obviously. We had his sister's wedding was there as well, so it was very beautiful. But yeah, WA is big, so it would take you a long time to see, you know, and there's so many varieties, because down south we've got all the wineries and the green, and it's completely different from up north. But one thing that we've been a lot down south, and we've been the bush and all that, but we really want to go up more, you know, even to Exmouth and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's one thing that we want to see.
Yeah, that's one we want to get over to the Kimberley, because it's just pretty much just across the border for us. It's not. It's only a few hours to get over there. So that's one big trip we've got to plan. That'll be take some holidays and do it over a few weeks.
Yeah. So that's the same for us. It'd be something when our business takes over, you know,
it's definitely on one of the lists on the board. It's
actually on the vision board, you know, like that's one of the first big trips that we want to do is the Karajini. So and
we haven't been to Uluru, so yeah, definitely wanting to see that.
Yeah, definitely. I've been to Darwin. I love Darwin. Willem's also been.
Well, yeah, being with the Navy, I've been around Australia to every port. But Darwin, Darwin is definitely one of my top favorite places that I've visited. Love Darwin.
Yeah, since moving up here and seeing everything, like we've got out on a few weekends and gone Kakadu and Litchfield and a couple of other water holes around the place. It's pretty amazing up here.
I loved it. And it's not like Darwin is small, like it's, you know, it's smaller than Perth, so it's not city, it's more like a town, but it's big enough so you can get everything there. Like that's what I loved about it. So like just down to earth, and it looks like a holiday place.
Yeah.
To me, it did. Obviously, I didn't stay there. I was on a holiday. Yeah, so obviously you guys are still working. So one of our questions is, how do people do it financially? Because a lot of people are like, I can't go traveling all the time, or I can't do a lap
Can't
around
go
Australia
every weekend or every second weekend
because we don't have the money. I'm guessing because you guys are working, you would have maybe a holiday budget or like a traveling budget, or
Well, how do you work your finances?
They don't have kids, so
yeah,
they have a lot of money.
We don't really spend like any money really.
Yeah,
when
pretty
we
much.
go out, just fuel, food. That's about
You
it.
do a lot of free camping and stuff.
Yeah, we try to, and like most of the national parks, it's like $5 a night or something like that.
Yep.
Like usually they just have an honesty box system and then with some envelopes, and you just fill in how many nights you're there and chuck your money in the envelope and drop it in the box. And
that is such an amazing thing, isn't it? Like, because we come from South Africa and that would not work there. Would not work there. So that's one thing that every time we at a national park and we see that in Australia, and I've been here 15 years, but to me that's still like, that is so amazing. That
the honesty systems around here is just still astonishing.
There's probably still people who are not honest, but those people would be very, very few.
Yeah,
it's really good, and amazing.
So that's what and then like when we used to travel all through the high country, it was all just free camping. Like you just find a spot in the bush and set up for the night. So
and you guys have it easy.
We try to do it.
Go.
Yeah.
Try to do it free, I guess, the camping wise. So the only expense is food and fuel.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can definitely do a budget, like,
I think, and when we were doing the drive up, a good book that it helps find where to go and on a budget is the camps books.
Like the ones you can get at the servo and stuff.
Like BCF. Like a news agent, you get them.
It's called like I think they're up to camps 10 now. I've got camps.
They are camps 10.
Yeah.
Basically, there's just maps in there, like travel maps, and it'll just show you on the map where the free campsites are. So you can look at the area that you're going and go, oh yeah, there's free camping there, or this one's this much a night, this one's this much a night, and you can sort of plan and just skip through the free ones or the cheap ones.
A few people have told us, and you've probably heard of wiki camps as well.
I've heard about that. I think that's like an app version of the book.
Yeah, but if you're maybe somewhere where you don't have reception, the book would be the one to go with. In the middle of Australia and you don't have reception. So we know where to find you guys, but if you want to tell in your words where people can find you.
Yes, we've got Facebook and Instagram. They're the two main ones. We've got YouTube as well. There's not a lot. We're trying to film as we go out, but sometimes we just forget to film some trips.
You're in the moment. You just enjoy it.
Same with us.
So slowly getting stuff up there to put in little trip videos, and I do some like reviews on different things and that we use as well. So we're starting. That's only been I only opened that up probably a month or a couple of months ago. But so if you just search Lost Wanderers on everything, we should just come up on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook.
Awesome. We will obviously pop it. We will pop the link in
the descriptions,
in the post and the descriptions and all that as well. But that's awesome. People can go and follow your journey and maybe get some really good reviews from your YouTube channel as well. So
I just thought of an extra question. That's not on our notes or anything, but could you explain to us what sort of that's probably for Liah, what sort of photography skills you use, what sort of like iPhone, or you have special cameras or drones or anything?
At the moment we're just using like the iPhone, and then we've just got a GoPro and stuff, so we use that a lot. It's really good, like with the waterfalls and things like that. Actually take it out to the waterfall when we're swimming and stuff. But I think we probably will get like a decent camera as well, just to get those really, really good shots.
I think a drone would be good where you guys live.
Oh he's been researching drones.
Yeah, there's a drone coming in the next couple of months, hopefully. So
that's awesome. you know, I know what you're saying though, because we get in the moment, especially with the kids, you know, it gets too busy and we just don't take videos and take photos too, like, enough of it. But yeah, it'd be good actually to just have like someone just, you know,
Someone just follows you along.
just hire like a photographer, like come on along our journey, because it is special memories. And when we look back on those photos and those memories and things, it is really good, and obviously also inspiring people around Australia to do it.
And to showcase the beautiful spots that we have around this beautiful country. So
yeah, and that people actually can do it. There's, you know, you don't have to always think that it is traveling, like lapping around Australia, that you have to do. You can do it like you guys, you know, when you've got time off, or take some extended leave and you just go and travel a little bit more. So yeah. Is there anything you guys think that, like, we haven't asked you that you want to share about your story or your travels, or
they would like the listeners to know?
Yeah.
You know, I think when just get out there and start. And like if you're planning a big trip, I recommend doing a few weekends away first, testing out your gear, figuring out, because there's over the years I've had stuff in there that I've taken on like camping trip after camping trip after camping trip, and it's just sat in the car and never used and just taken up space, because you see it at the camp store and you think, oh, that'll come in handy, that'll be cool to have, and then you just never use it. So yeah, especially if you're going on a long trip or you want to do a lap or something, I recommend figuring out what you use, what you don't use, and pack. So do a lot of little trips beforehand. You can figure out, because over the years I've packed the car a heap of different ways to figuring out how it all fits in best to be able to use it when you're out there too. Like some stuff, you'll use it near the end of your trip, so it doesn't need to be right on top of like for me, it's all in the back of the car, so it doesn't need to be stacked on top. It can be underneath to the side, and you can get it out at the end.
That's awesome. And I actually want to ask, like, how do you guys do with like showering and things like that? Have you got a setup for anything like that?
We have like a camp shower.
Yeah, I have one of those. I think you pick them up from like $12 or something from BCF.
Yeah.
It's a 12-volt shower you can just plug into the cigarette port in your car and just chuck it, pump in the bucket of water.
Yep.
Yeah, and then pick up, I think they call them solar shower. It's just a big black bag basically that you stick in the sun for the day, and it heats the water up, and so it's warm at night.
Awesome.
Oh, that's something we definitely need,
yeah. But when we go where there's not a toilet or something, we're out somewhere there.
Or anything,
we have one of the what are they? The porta potty brand.
Yes. Yeah.
I tried one of them. Yeah, I recommend the porta potty brand. I tried the cheaper one at first, and it leaked all over the car.
Oh no.
So that was the first trip. I went straight back to the camp store and said, I need to return this. It doesn't everywhere. Wasn't fun.
Gosh.
They didn't say, oh, you've already used it, so sorry.
Yeah.
No, I cleaned it out, and they're like, yeah, okay, fair enough. And then I bought the more expensive brand.
Yeah. Is there any camping stores that you guys actually go to most?
BCF.
Yeah.
All the time, don't
we? BCF's close, so we use that. And Four Drive Supercenter, I get a bit of gear off there because they're pretty cheap, and most of it's reliable. Like I haven't had an issue with any of their gear.
Yep.
So I can recommend that too.
Awesome.
Well, thanks for sharing all that information, guys. I guess that concludes the podcast.
Thanks so much for chatting to us, and we'll see you on social media, and hopefully maybe we'll come up to Karangini and we'll maybe see you guys there.
See you around there, yeah.